Good night to you, Guyana. Welcome again to another episode of Reparations Now. This is our first program for 2019. We're happy to be here once again with you. Thank you for being faithful with us through 2018. And we hope that you stay with us and keep watching at our program every fourth Sunday of the month. I am yours truly, Esther Gittin, Secretary of the Guyana Reparations Committee. Tonight we have here in studio with us our chairman, Brother Eric Phillips, and our mobilization chair and specialist, Sister Pen de Guyan. We're glad to have her back with us. As you know, we did say she was suffering a bout of illness. We give thanks to our ancestors that she has been rejuvenated, and she's here again, once again, serving and bringing pleasure to our African communities and village. Brother Eric, welcome. Sister Penda,
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure being here. Well, it's sad to say, but we know that we've had two tragic deaths in our community, and also we are presently commemorating the death anniversary of our beloved brother, Ronald Waddle. Sister Penda, I would love to call on you to tell us a bit about what you've been doing for Brother Waddle, because we know it's 13 years since he died on the 13th of January. So
30th.
Tell us what you've been doing.
Yeah, well, as you just said, Brother Waddle left us on the 30th of January 2006. Tragically, and we have been commemorating him. We started today with the African Presence actor gave us the program. So there was a panel discussion this afternoon from 1 to 2. It was a very, very good program. We were supposed to have one later on in the evening, but that has been postponed for next Sunday, and that would be on the Groundings program. However, on Wednesday, which is the actual day of his death, we will be having a program at the site, which is 2 Sea Glimpse Avenue, and that is bordered by Sheriff, and Rupert Craig Highway runs parallel. So we'll be gathering there, and the program starts at 5:30. We'll be having a libation and a reflection on his life. So we're inviting everyone to be there. So basically, that is what we're doing.
Okay. Tell us a bit about Sister Joan.
Oh, yes. Using the words of Maya Angelou, we can say that we've lost 2 phenomenal women. One in the person of Miss Alison Butters Grant, who I know Brother Eric will be speaking on in a few moments, and the other in the person of Mrs. Joan James, who we fondly call Teacher Patsy. Teacher Patsy hails from Hopetown, West Coast Berbice, and she has been a pillar of strength for the community, and she's been there for us at Reparations.
Yes, she has.
So she'll be truly missed, because she was there with us with our Reparation Youth, with our relay, our youth relay and rally. She organized the Hopetown leg for us, and then again when we had our COI and we formed the land committee, she was there again for us, making everything possible up there, providing us with a site, to interview people. So, we will surely miss her. But she has been the president of the Guyana Mothers Union. But not only that, if you recalled, approximately 2 months ago, Guyana was buzzing about the fact that Miss Sharon Harper became the first non-European to become the president of the Worldwide Mothers Union, and we were very happy. But what a lot of people did not know, that Teacher Patsy was the vice president of the Worldwide Mothers Union. Okay. So we had both here in Guyana the president and vice president of the Worldwide Mothers Union. And just to commemorate her a little, I'd just like to say a little bit about the Mothers Union. The Mothers Union is it's Anglican church based, and it's their prayer, worship, and family life. So what they do is that they encourage members to join the Mothers Union, and they deal with family. They deal with, it's a holistic approach. They deal with everything to do with the family. They look at the economics. They look at the family values, the health, the education. And so what they do is that they help the members in all these areas. And Teacher Patsy, sadly enough, was killed in line of duty, because it was the 2nd of January, I think, and she was on her way to Georgetown with the Mothers Union bus coming to her office when they met with the accident. So it is very, very sad indeed.
Sad. Brother Eric, tell us a bit about Alison. I know she's one of your favorite entrepreneurs.
Yes, Alison sadly passed away at a young age of 52 from cancer. She was working on creating a fishing village in Victoria as part of our African Business Roundtable activities. Of course, she's the owner of Global Seafoods. But Alison, what can you say? She was so energetic. She was so focused on our community. She was helping her workers with literacy. She was sending some of them to school. She was a co-founder of the New Jersey Guyana Independence Celebration Group. And she's been a member of many business organizations in Guyana. And so we'll miss her. Her wake is tonight, her night of reflection at Maltinors, and then tomorrow. And her burial is Tuesday. But I'd like to segue into what bothers me, because here's a book, brand new book, called The Who's Who in Guyana. Alison's not in this book. It has all of the Guyana business service groups, such as the Private Sector Commission. It has the Guyana Chamber of Commerce. It has the Guyana Manufacturers Services Association. But it doesn't have the African Business Roundtable.
Yes.
We're 2 years old. They've ignored us as usual, even though we successfully ran the Green Guyana Expo, an international small business summit, because none of the other groups wanted to do it, because they didn't agree with President Granger's vision of a green economy, which is the only common sense vision that we have for Guyana. So Alison, we miss you, and we will memorialize you.
Yes.
We will keep your spirit going, and as a matter of fact, we'll ensure that Victoria becomes a fishing village, and we will support your business that your 2 young daughters and your husband will be running.
Yes, and to their families, you have our heartfelt condolences, and we want you to go forward, know that the African community is here for you. Now, Brother Eric, what I would love to say on the topic of ABR not being featured, and so sad to say, because Sister Alison Waters was also the chairman or the secretary.
She's the secretary. She's the founder.
She's the founder of that organ, and they haven't featured her being the only black businesswoman in the fishing industry.
Right.
But what I would love to advise to ABR is, let's start our own business book.
Well, we
need
are.
Our own business book.
Yeah, we are. We have to start thinking about reparations from an economic point of view. Yes. I know Sir Hilary, you have something on Sir Hilary,
yes,
and perhaps after he's done, you can come back.
Yes, I would love to call on our technician to give us our clipping on Sir Hilary's presentation that was done at the Hardmanston Lodge on Friday. Well, it seems as though our technician is having some difficulties. But Brother Eric, I know all of this development and economics is going to be linked. You're going to link it to our ancestral rights bill and our perpetual trust.
Right.
Because the Guyana Reparations Committee is of the firm belief and knowledge and acceptance that land is the basis for generational wealth. So in the meantime, let's talk about our bill and trust and how that works with our economics.
Thank you, Sister Esther. You know, we've had a lawyer, a historian, and an economist working on an ancestral rights bill, which is similar to the Amerindian Act of 2006. It's our Reparatory Justice Act in the same way that it's theirs. They received land, 13.8% initially. It's now up to 17%. They created a Tushaus Council that now has over 212 Amerindian leaders that meets in Georgetown every August, and they were given an Amerindian Development Fund. So our bill, which we hope will go to Parliament, is almost complete. We should be seeing the first draft in 2 weeks at our weekly reparations meeting, 2 Thursdays from now. And that bill will focus on asking the government for 18% of Guyana because our ancestors cleared 15,000 square miles, which is 18% of Guyana. And I think it's only fair that if 473,000 of our people died to build Guyana, we were enslaved for 200 years, and we were here before 3 of the 9 Amerindian groups that got land, that because slavery was a crime against humanity, that we would get justice in Guyana. It's something that Guyana needs to do. We talk about all the racial conflict in Guyana. If we don't have justice, if we don't have equity, this country will forever be unstable. And as you know, we have a no confidence motion, and that's linked to sugar, and it's linked to being Hindu, and it's linked to all sorts of things. We're just saying, listen, we just want justice. So that document will be here soon. We also have a map of the lands we are looking to claim. We've been working very closely with Guyana Lands and Service. We've been mapping it out. Brother Gary Best, who is our lawyer on this, former Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, he has been working on that. So we're looking at that, and we will have a perpetual trust, which essentially is a group of, it's a structure, a trust, that will have 15 leaders from our villages as trustees, and we will have 7 technical trustees who will help to work with our people. They're lawyers, economists, bankers, but they will only have 1 vote. So we're setting it up so it's a perpetual trust, so the lands and monies that we have will go in there for the rebuilding of our psychological, economic, cultural, political, and sociological well-being. Sister Penda, by the way, is going to be leading, together with you, I know, the outreach to create a 300-person equivalent of a Tushaus Council. And I don't know if you want to talk to her about that.
I don't want you to steal my question.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I was about to say that we know Sister Penda is about to embark on into the villages to start to massage our villagers into coming together to form this council. But before I bring Sister Penda, what would you say to our villagers when Sister Penda, so that to prep them a bit for Sister Penda?
Well, they all know Sister Penda. That's one of the advantages we have. But we're here to try to organize ourselves economically. There's no political power without economic power. We've gotten it wrong. We believe that political power gives us economic power. And as you can see, the systemic structures in Guyana, regardless of who's in power, is anti-us.
True.
So we have to organize politically. I've been writing much about it. This is a document. which is Youth and Village Entrepreneurship, so that we can speak to our villages about their economic resuscitation and diversification. So when Sister Penda visits you, welcome her with open arms. She'll tell you about our mission and vision, but let me leave you to...
Sister Penda, tell us how you plan to take us through those villages and bring us together in those councils.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do it similar to what we did when we were doing our reparation rally. Okay. In that, we will be meeting with various heads of the various groups, be it cultural, religious, whatever, of the various villages. And then we will meet with them and give an in-service. So we're going to in-service them into what we're looking for in those councils that we want to set up. And we will be explaining, giving an in-service generally, letting them know what we're looking for, what our aims and objectives are. Once we've done that, they will go back to their various villages and they will set up the councils with our guidance. And then we will go to the second phase, which is actually going in, meeting with the persons that have been selected, and then we'll take it from there. So it's a three-pronged approach, where we will sensitize, then we go to the next phase where they will meet, and then Brother Eric and the executive, we will go in.
And the third phase, or phase 3+, is the most critical phase. We're hoping that this August, we are able to bring all of those people down, youth and elders, to Georgetown to have a 1-week event, an Indaba. On day one, of course, we'll speak about our social conditions, what are the issues facing our communities, illiteracy, etc., what illnesses are impacting us. The second day, we'll speak about our economics and talk about what are our needs. The third day, we'll speak about our youth and youth employment, youth entrepreneurship. We'll talk about the way we repair among ourselves, how we speak with each other, how we buy from each other, how we nurture each other, how we raise funds to help each other. And then the fifth day is about starting to wrap things up and to begin to form the perpetual trust. So we will probably have a vote to say for the first 15 members of our perpetual trust. So, and this is going to be an annual event. Through that vehicle, we hope to have economic papers written so that our villagers can know what are the industries to go in. We'd like them to know what the green economy offers them. We'd like them to know what are the available facilities or financial instruments through the budget to help them to build their local economies. So it's about self-sufficiency. It's about this symbol here, which means interdependence, because we're communal people, as you can see from our village movement. And we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to have everyone rise with the waters.
And may I add that, Brother Eric, having said that, I think they will see the significance of why we're coming to them, because it is from these villages and from the councils, they are the persons who will be actually making up the perpetual trust. So this is why we have to go through the different phases, because we have to ensure that the persons that will be on that trust are of a certain
high integrity, community,
all those oriented. So these are the things that we're working on right now.
And we'll have training for everyone. Because this is a serious
training
activity.
is absolutely necessary.
We understand what happened with the corpse, so we'll make sure that we don't go back to what has happened in the past. We should learn from those mistakes. But it's also about lobbying. This country owes us land. Owes us reparations. They've already given the Amerindians reparations, and that's fine. That's great.
True.
They should be repaired.
Yes.
But the inequalities in this society are based on historical inequalities, historical legacies. Everyone else was paid, even though we did all the work and we did all the dying.
True.
So I hope that Guyana is matured. We're not going to be a political organization. We're
not.
about rights.
True.
Guyana should be a rules-based society, a rights-based society. And we're just looking for justice and equity.
True.
What we're noticing is because of these historical legacies, our businesses are not in this book. We're excluded from oil. We're excluding from a lot of the things that are happening. And I keep seeing young people saying, let's just have peace and unity. And I worry about that, organizations such as HEAL, because peace and unity have to be based on something, and it's based on justice. Don't just tell us love each other.
We
The
can.
historical reality, the economic reality, the social reality, the racism in this society is because of historical legacies. So they have to be smarter. I don't know who's mentoring them, but they should not be making statements without completing it.
True.
It's good to heal Guyana. We need to heal Guyana. But just don't tell African Guyanese to forget and to be peaceful
We
and
can't.
to be unity. It has to have a foundation and a basis, and that's
True.
justice.
True. And there's no justice without equality.
Right.
Sister Penda, on the outreach still, tell us which area or village or region we plan to go to
So
first.
first,
Yeah.
okay, we are planning to start on the quarantine and work our way down. So we'll be looking at the quarantine, the east bank of Berbice. That'll be the first.
All regions will go to.
We're going to all, and
I
then we'll
know.
come down to the west coast, and maybe we'll go
Essequibo
to
Coast.
Essequibo and before
Linden,
we
Region
Linden, and then
10.
before we come back
we
to,
do
to the
Demerara finally.
Demerara.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
Berbice quarantine could be seeing us in the near future, let's
Yes,
say
yes.
a month's time or 2 weeks
But
We're hoping before.
Yeah, we have to complete this process by June
by
Yes.
June.
so that we can have proper planning
Yeah,
for
so we
August.
have to.
Okay.
We're hoping to be there before,
Yeah.
say with the latest a month.
About, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the latest.
All right. I would love to know. Can I call for the? All right. They're not ready for us. They're still asking for more time. So, Brother
Let's-
Eric.
Yeah. I'd like to speak again about planning
Yes.
for ourselves.
Yes.
We've started a series, a book called IQ, which is about development. We're going to be writing about critical issues facing our community, and we will share it with the government, whoever is there, so that they understand our needs. We have to define our needs. We don't want others defining our needs because they define needs out of context. And so we have a group of young people who are going to be working with us to write on these issues. And we'll also like to tell our young people that in the budget this year, there's about $250 million in SLED funds, and they need to organize themselves. The first applications are due February 8th. We're currently working with 3 or 4 villages, and if they need help, just contact us at 60-888-77. 60-888-77.
Okay. Good. In the meantime, I'd love to remind our audience, because all of what we're talking about is linked back to this special piece of work done by the Guyana Reparations Committee. It's the Guyana Reparations Story. And what Brother Eric was really talking about there is part 4 of this book, which
Right.
is actually the Guyana Reparations Committee claim for land. So, Brother Eric, tell us a bit more how we arrived to coming up with our claims
Right.
foundation.
Well, we were at the land COI. Sister Penda was very central to that, running around the country, talking about land and bringing people to the committee. I understand our report has been completed and should be sent to the president. We presented an argument that is you can't argue against. We basically said, first, slavery was a crime against humanity. The UN has said that, the Durban Declaration. We argued also that we were enslaved here in Guyana, that so many of us died, 473,000. We argued that the UN says that there should be reparations, and that's why we have the CARICOM Reparations Commission, the Guyana Reparations Committee, and 12 other committees in the region. We argued that a precedent has been set in Guyana with the Amerindian Act of 2006. There were 6,000 Amerindians in Guyana when we arrived. And so we, since 3 of those groups arrived 100 and 200 years after we arrived, the Wapishanas and the Makusis arrived here 100 years after we arrived. The Waiwais came from Venezuela, and they came here 200 years after us. We basically making the argument that since we were here before them, and since we were enslaved, and since we worked for 200 years, and we lost so many lives,
True.
and since we dug 15,000 square miles, the history is there, the Venn Commission, that we deserve reparations. And I'm certain that Sir Hilary Beckles has been spreading this message all over the world.
Yeah.
And his argument is central, that the liberal democracies of the world are failing, if you look all over the world. And they're failing because their economic model based on capitalism is one that leads to inequalities. And so you have to repair people who have been damaged all those years and change your economic model. And reparations is that model, where you empower people who have been disempowered to participate fully in the economy.
All right. Well, I know our Ancestral Rights Bill and our Perpetual Trust is in response to a request from the Land Commission of Inquiry,
Right.
which proves that our presentation was favorably accepted because they asked us to identify where we think we want this land,
Right.
and let's show how we will manage it,
Right.
and let's show who will benefit from it.
Right.
And that's how we decided we had to work on
Right.
our bill and our trust.
You're absolutely right.
Well, my technician has signaled that our Sir Hilary Beckles presentation clipping is ready. So let's go to that, and then we'll come again.
This is living history. This is history alive and well every day around you, your condition, your children's future. All of it is caught up in a big thing called reparations. Because if you do not stand up as a point of human dignity and say, what has been done to my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, going back 300 years, if you wish to detach yourself from all of that and say, that was then, I am now, then clearly there is something wrong with the model. And that is where the volatility exists in the model. That you do not connect to those who brought you into the world. And you want to be an individual detached from your history, your family, your lineage. Reparations is not about standing on street corners and asking for handouts. It's not about that. It's not about subjecting yourself to any indignity of asking people to give you money based on a theory that has emerged out of Europe. Oh, reparations, I know what they mean. Reparations mean those lazy black people in the Caribbean want money from us. That's how they interpret it, and then we believe it. But we've walked this road before. When Martin Luther King said to the American nation, we need to integrate this nation. We need to integrate this nation so that all of us can benefit from its development. He knew what he meant. Better schools for everyone, housing for everyone. He wanted all the people to remove the racial discrimination. Let the people of America live as one nation. But the media said, okay, what he means by integration, he means that black men are going to marry white women. Well, that's what he means. And then the forces began to galvanize around Martin Luther King to destroy him. Because that was how they determined what integration meant. We knew what it meant. They defined it for us, and they destroyed Martin Luther King. We are defining reparations. Reparations is about our development. It's about why is it that all of those poor children are semi-literate in ghettos in this Caribbean? Why is it that there's some places in the Caribbean where we still can't live and we're the majority? Why is it that we have all of these chronic diseases that running through a pandemic through Caribbean people, 60% of all the black people in the Caribbean over the age of 60 have hypertension or diabetes? Because for 300 years you've been told, eat what you grow. You grow in sugar, eat it. And thus, we are now in a circumstance where our bodies cannot metabolize salt and sugar. Because for 300 to 400 years, every single day, morning, noon, and night, we're eating sugar and salt. The only people in the world. I know this because when I was a kid, going to primary school, walking to school to primary school, walking to school barefooted, and our grandmother would give us a little bag of sugar. So we walked to school with a half a pound of sugar. And when you were hungry, you ate sugar as a meal. But that was the nature of all the poor people on the island. You ate sugar as a meal. And now Barbados is called the amputation capital of the world. Because more amputation of limbs of black people in Barbados per capita anywhere in the world. And why? Because Barbados was an island of pure sugar production. 80% of the land space of Barbados was sugar. And the people ate sugar morning, noon, and night. Now it's an amputation capital. So on the one hand, the beautiful beaches. On the other hand, we're losing our limbs every day. And you have to connect all of that. Where's the volatility? If you cannot connect that, then we academics are failing in our jobs. And it's an important matter. It's about health. Reparations is about your health. It is also about why you don't have a museum in your society dedicated to your history. You can take your kids down Georgetown and say, we have a museum that shows the history of slavery and indenture, let the kids go. You don't have that. But there's one in Manchester, Liverpool, Bristol, and London. But you don't have one, and you're the one who went through the slavery and the indenture. You don't have it, but there exists elsewhere. There are Rastafarians in our Caribbean who have said, we want to go home. We are stolen people. Stolen people have a right to be returned from whence they came. Who is going to fund the restitution of people's rights to be taken from the place where they were stolen and kidnapped? I was in Ethiopia last year, there in Shashamani. I visited there, and there are about 25,000 West Indians living there who have returned. They've had to spend all of their money, their savings to go home. There are now 10 governments in Africa that have said, if you want to come, we give you a piece of land, we give you citizenship, come. So the governments of Africa have now opened up Africa for those of you who want to go home. But why should you have to fund that? Why should you have to pay the return ticket when you didn't pay the first ticket? These are the issues that are important to all of us going forward. And I want to tell my brothers in this audience who have from Indian ancestry. So I'm saying to you, all of us, whether we are African, whether we are from India, we have a reason to support the reparations movement because it is about improving our well-being as a people and taking care of the well-being of our children going forward. So it is an ethical issue. And it is not simply about economic development will take care of it, no. You need social development. And I end with this final statement. Now I know that Guyana is going to have all the oil poured out of the brown and the sea. My discipline is economic history. I have spent a lot of time in Norway and Sweden over the last 20, 30 years. And I want to describe to you what they do with their oil. 60% of all of that oil revenue that goes into Norway under legislation by Parliament must go into social growth. They must go into community parks where women and children and people can go and sit and read. It's about libraries on every street corner where people can go and enjoy a life of intellectual stimulation. It's making sure that the environment has public art where you can walk the street and see art on display, art that stimulates your mind. It's about making sure that the society is designed in such a way that people feel good to be citizens. That is social growth.
Thank you. Welcome back. That was Sir Hilary Beckles at the second Sister Mary Noel Menez Distinguished Lecture held by the University of Guyana. It was titled Historical Realities for Redress, the Adequacy of Relinquishing Reservations and Pursuing Reparations. Brother Eric, I know you really wanted to talk about development, so let's go.
Let's summarize what Sir Hilary did at this event, which was the second event for our historical icon, our Guyanese hero, Sister Menez. He said that 10 years before emancipation, there was total doubt that people would ever be free. Because if you were enslaved for 400 years, why would you believe you would be free? He said we had the same issue with independence. 10 years before independence, if you spoke to people in the Caribbean, 80% of the people would say you're crazy.
True.
And he's making the argument, the same thing about reparations. We keep saying it will never happen, but it will happen. And the reason it will happen, he's arguing, is that the current structure and economic models of the world are failing, and we're seeing it all over the world. We in the Caribbean, we lack development because of enslavement. We have no technology because they didn't produce anything in the Caribbean, they sent everything to Europe.
Yes.
Our diet was a diet that was really designed to kill us.
True.
We don't have any research done in the West Indies. True. So he started to show that reparations is an economic issue, that without reparations in the Caribbean, we'll always have a huge lot of debt.
True.
Because our islands are one product economies. True. And not sustainable. So he's basically saying that Israel became what it is because of reparations from the West. True. After their Holocaust. And he's arguing that our Holocaust was much longer and deeper. True. Because we also have mental slavery, we have racism coming out of it. But his central theme is that we need to start believing in reparations because It's about social growth, it's about economic growth, yes. It's about all the citizens of the Caribbean and Guyana feeling as if they have a right to be free, because you can't be free mentally without having economic freedom. You know, freedom is freedom is freedom. But economic freedom, if you don't have economic freedom, you're still enslaved.
True.
And that's what you're seeing in Guyana. And that's where you're seeing the inequalities in the Caribbean, where a lot of people in the Caribbean, even though our islands are beautiful, don't enjoy it. He spoke about Barbados. He spoke about indigenous people in Guatemala and the Garifuna. So fundamentally, I would like Guyanese to understand that this racism about Africans shouldn't be getting reparations in Guyana is short-sighted. True. Without us getting reparations, Guyana will never grow. It will never True. Have that racial cohesion. We'll never be one people, one nation, one destiny, which means we're equal. True. But our system right now makes us unequal. True. We have a constitution that makes us unequal, a winner-take-all. We have a procurement system that makes us uneven. We have a school system that makes us uneven.
True.
If you look at all the systems in Guyana, and you look at all the systems in the Caribbean, where now we have to import all the technology we need for oil. where we have to import all the human resources who are engineers to come and produce our oil.
True.
You look at Guyana Gold Fields, they had to bring in 800 people from Peru to build a mine. So we in Guyana, we're incredibly wealthy. We have water. But let me start. We have oil, the number 1 product in the world. We have gold, the number 2 product in the world. We have water, the number 3 product in the world. We have land. We have minerals. We have all sorts of forests. We're incredibly wealthy. But that wealth will never be released by Guyanese. It'll be released by others who just give us crumbs because they have the technology, they have the capital. And so Hillary is making the argument that reparations is a necessary prerequisite
It is.
for sustainable development.
Yes.
And that until we understand that, whether you're Amerindian or Indian or Portuguese or Chinese or African, until we realize that, we will never free ourselves of European bonds and we'll be colonized again and enslaved again, because now it's not sugar, it's
not.
oil.
It is.
So his thesis on the Sister Menina's anniversary, the commemoration, her lecture series, is fundamental to Guyana. I was glad to see
Yes.
so many people there. And I hope our government understands this.
Yes.
We have assets. We have incredible patrimony. And the way our political system is set up, winner take all, the way our procurement system is set up, the way our local content policy, which is outrageous, is being designed, will impoverish us. We need a local content law,
True.
not a policy. And this is what I've written, 40 pages. We need a local content law that ensures that our private sector has the ability to acquire technologies, to acquire production methodologies, to acquire science, so that we can use that to build our green economy, which is the economy we need. We need a green economy because of climate change and all of that, but we need an oil sector that will give us the revenues. But we need that bridge. If our private sector doesn't get the technology, the capital, the production methodologies, the certification, we will never be able to build our own economy. And even our green economy will be built by foreigners.
True.
That means we'll have perpetual unemployment. If we don't have reparations, we won't be able to improve our educational system. All of our schools should be free. We should have the best paid teachers. We should have the best made equipment in our schools.
True.
All of that. So local content is critical. We shouldn't be giving anybody land. Land belongs to us. Land is scarce. I don't know why Lands and Survey is still giving lands to foreigners.
True.
Incentivize our young people that when they graduate from school, and all schools will have good teachers, that they get a plot of land.
Yes.
And if they want to take the land and do something with it, pool it and use it as equity in some type of business. So we have to get our politicians, and both sides are guilty of this.
True.
They don't seem to understand that we are in the fourth world war, and that's about countries and companies trying to recolonize us and to take our souls and our wealth.
True.
So again, we're being re-enslaved. And if we don't understand, we need emancipation and reparations,
Yes.
and that emancipation is about economic reparations, then we're sad.
Yes, and I would like to add too that our private sector isn't working very well. I think our private sector needs to be repositioned. We cannot survive on a private sector that depends on the government contracts. We need our private sectors, as you
manufacture.
said, to have the technology and certification. Our private sector has to become industrious.
And
not-
innovators.
And innovative.
And just to show you the dichotomy, this and the paradigm, our private sector wants local content, and they should have it. But they don't want Africans in Guyana to be part of the economy and to also have local content. So there's just the economy. You know, if you want local content, let it be local content in its truest sense. Let the private sector reflect the people of Guyana. Whether it's Amerindian businesses or African businesses, don't deny us that we don't exist in the Guyanese private sector.
True.
And this is what happens all the time, that they don't see us as equals.
True.
And yet we built Guyana, we died for Guyana, and they're benefiting from it. through getting licenses in our villages when we weren't given licenses,
True.
through getting capital from India and Portugal to help themselves, and now the Chinese are colonizing us. So we need to open our eyes. We should not have supermarkets owned by foreigners in Guyana.
True.
That's crowding out our vendors. It's
True.
crowding out our youth.
True.
So there's a lot to learn about reparations, because reparations is not just about cash and land.
True.
It's about the mind. It's about
Yes.
redefining what your freedom is. It's about understanding how you have sustainable growth. It's about
True.
having our young people understand that they're important, that they're valuable, and that Guyana belongs to us. We died for it.
True.
So how are we going to allow all sorts of people to come in and crowd us out because they have more capital? If the government wants to empower our young people, put $100 million US into a fund and find some young people and let them own a supermarket.
True.
Because the only difference between them and foreigners is that the foreigners come with money.
Yes.
And
we
therefore,
don't
the
have
oil money
capital.
needs to be used properly, as Hillary was saying, for social growth, for economic growth, for cultural growth, for mental growth, and for reparations.
Yes, and on top of all of that, they're forcing us into social cohesion. I don't see how we could be socially cohesive without economic empowerment.
Yeah, economic inclusion.
Yes.
The real meaning of social cohesion is economic inclusion.
Yes.
But people are afraid to speak the truth. And we have to start telling our leaders to speak the truth, to stop
They
lying
need
to
to.
us.
They need
And we've
to.
seen a lot of that in the media. Social cohesion is critical in Guyana, but it can only happen when there's economic inclusion. So I don't want to love you
Yes.
and be poor. I want to love you for you're all rich.
Why can't
and this
love
economy
be
should
poor? Because every time I look over there, there is no feeling of love. It
Yeah.
can't be
Buy
stirred.
from your friends.
When
Spend with your friends.
you're up there and I'm down here, we can't be socially cohesive, and we can't talk about social cohesion and 15 deliberate things were done to keep us in
As the
this
book would
position.
say. Yeah.
Then there needs to be deliberate things done to bring about equity, because there can't be equality without equity.
Well, the systems in Guyana, whether it's procurement or not, aren't designed for equity. For example, if an African firm wants to build something, a road, they say to them, where's your experience? You need 10 years experience. Well, for 23 years, we were excluded. So where do you want us to have the experience? As a matter of fact, we don't need that experience, because if you look at the roads, they're all poorly done. So why do we need experience building
True.
bad roads?
True, true.
So those
So the roads
arguments.
stay the person's building them or don't have any experience
Yeah.
at
But
all.
the economy needs to have inclusion. Everyone should benefit.
Yes,
All races,
true.
all ages. And I'm hoping that Guyana has reparations of its mind and its
Yes.
spirit and its soul. And that we change the constitution that we have so that we have a way in which all the races can feel included. Because the current constitution will always have a crisis.
Thank you, Brother Eric.
Okay, let me
Well,
talk
moving
about
along, the Guyana Reparations Committee has decided that we will be promoting one book a month to our viewers and to our supporters. So this month we have chosen the book written by our very own His Excellency President David Arthur Granger. And as we all should know by now, he's a great historian. He has many books.
We wish him
They're
well.
published. We wish him speedy recovery. And you know, the funny thing is, Brother Eric, as you pointed, every week there are lots of books. They're all for free,
Yes.
and they can be picked up at the National Trust, you say?
Yeah, or the Ghana, all the business organizations have free books. I mean, if we want to be business minded, just go and get these magazines. They're free from the Ministry of Business, from Guyana Chambers of Commerce, from the Private Sector Commission, from Go Invest. They're all there. We have to educate ourselves.
All right, our book for this month is Crime Without Punishment. Sister Penda, tell us
Yes.
a bit about it.
First of all, listening to Brother Eric, I think one of the things that was well put is that we need to educate our people on reparation. And we did this, I think, successfully in one extent, in that in 2016, we had our reparations relay and rally.
Right.
And that was where we went out throughout the
Central villages.
country and we educated our young people about what reparation meant to them. And coming out of that, we had the rally on the 20th of May. The Georgetown leg was on the 20th of May 2016. And at that rally, our keynote was Our Excellency Brigadier David Arthur Granger. Now, his address was Crime Without Punishment, which, as you said, sister, is in this book. And so this is the book that we've recommended. It's a brilliant book. It's simple because we thought we would start with something that's simple, that people can read and understand.
It's 4 pages.
And it's only 4 pages, as you can see. But it's packed with a lot of information on just what you were speaking about. And this book, you can obtain it at the National Trust Building, and that is on Carmichael Street. It is right next to the residency, and it's also next to
the gardens.
The
promenade.
No,
the Ministry of Legal Affairs.
The Ministry of Legal Affairs. So it sits in the center, and you can just go there. They have lots of these books available. And all you have to do is go and ask for a copy of Crime Without Punishment, and you'll be able to read it and to understand a lot of what Brother Eric was speaking about. So this is our book for the month. And when we come back next time, maybe we can test them to see if they really read.
Sister Esther, you want to also tell about our book, which is available free?
Yes, we also have our book. We're still featuring our book. We can't put this down as yet. I know Brother Eric and Brother Jonathan are working relentlessly to have an updated version. Our book, it has 4 parts. It starts with one named in the beginning. It tells about who were the first persons on Earth, which is Lucy, the oldest fossils found in Awash Valley, Ethiopia. And we also have Lucia, who is our oldest fossils found here in the Caribbean.
South America.
South America, thank you, Brother Eric.
Brazil, actually.
Brazil, yes, in Menes Garris, and Venezuela. Brazil, sorry. And she's dated 12,000 years. The second book talks about Africa before slavery, before chattel slavery. It shows how we were emperors and empresses and kings and queens and great rulers ruling great kingdoms. The third book is called the African Guyanese Holocaust and mainly talks about the experiences of our ancestors here in Guyana. And the fourth book is what we've actually been talking about all night, which features the African Guyanese reparations claims, as Brother Eric expounded on earlier. Brother
That's
Eric,
free.
Yes, this is free. And the last quarter for last year, we were asking questions. We had a quiz where we were putting out questions, and persons answered through a call-in session, and they were able to win copies of this booklet. We wanted to know that this quiz will be ongoing because we would still love for you to have copies of this book. You don't have to be African, you could be, and we all need to know what is in this book, because only if we know about each other, we will be able to understand what the other went through, what they're feeling, why they are where they are today, and why we need to all embrace reparations. Brother Eric, is there anything else you would love for our viewers to know?
No, we are at a crossroads with this no confidence vote. Everything happens for a reason. I think we need to understand that when you become an oil economy, you're very vulnerable. So whilst we're looking at our toes and saying the cup is half empty, others are looking at the cup and saying it's full, and they may steal the cup from us. So let's focus on the bigger issue, which is how we have equity and equality in the society, and how we make sure that we optimally benefit from our oil and gold and water and land, and that it belongs to Guyanese, all Guyanese.
Yes. One people, one nation, one destiny. Land of 6 beautiful peoples. Sister Penda, let's hear what you have to say in closing.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for having me into the home. I'm glad to be back. And as you know, I did not do the did you know. But in closing, you know, as Brother Eric rightly says, we are at the crossroads. And we have so many issues to deal with. Not only are we thinking of our confidence, but we are expecting a medical strike.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it was announced
That's
that
did you
the
know right there.
will be
Did you
going
know?
on strike. So that's my did you know.
Yes,
you didn't know
yes.
that. Anyway, these are the issues that we have to look at. But more importantly, talking about the economical aspect of this is that, and there's where we think, if you're having your oil, as Hilary Beckles said, it's what you do with your the monies that you get from this, right? How do you disperse of it? And I feel, and Brother Eric knows how I feel about this, that one of the things that we should be looking at is how do we use our oil and how do we put our young people to work?
Young and old.
Young and
Yes.
old. And my last thing on this, and I know I'm going to be killed, is Guyana needs a refinery.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
I do. I do support you on that, Sister Penda. Well,
We need refined people.
Yes, we need, of course. I think a refinery will help us to get refined people. Well, our technician is signaling that we have
We
to
thank
put the
them for
program
it.
on the wraps. We thank you, our viewers, for being faithful with us and staying with us. Again, I will ask you to stay with us again throughout 2019.
Ikemba is nice.
Don't forget that we have our weekly meetings every Thursday except on national holidays at the Museum of African Heritage, Berrima Avenue, Bel Air Park. That's the corner just before Survival Supermarket on Vicinjon Road. We also have our youth television program, Ikemba, Youth for Reparation, which is broadcasted on every second Thursday of the month at 9:05. And
705.
no, Brother
Oh,
Eric,
yes.
you got it wrong. It's 9:05.
Right, right.
Ikemba is 9:05 on every second Thursday, right here in this same studio. And please remember that this program comes to you compliments of the Ministry of Social Cohesion, the Presidency, Department of Social Cohesion. Thanks for being with us, and until Sister Penda is reminding me to remind you that we have our next program dedicated to Brother Ronald Waddle next Sunday on Walter Rodney Groundings. That will be on Channel 9. And on Wednesday, there's a vigil right in front of his residence. There will be a libation and a vigil at 5:30 in front of the village, his residence.
Yes, number 2.
Sheriff Street and Public Road.
Yes, Sheriff Street and Public Road, 5:30 on Wednesday, libation and vigil. Thank you once again, and for now, until our next program next month, Reparations Now.